Hey guys, welcome back. BDCKR here, and we're back with our weekly recap of all things Injustice for the week of May 19th, 2022. Current challenge is, looks like it says just Green Lantern. It's actually John Stewart Green Lantern. It's a 1 week repeat. The required characters are Nightwing, a Regime character, and a Doomsday. And you can get those as cheaply as bronze, and silver respectively. So Regime, you can get Catwoman or Solomon Grundy, both bronze characters. His passive is Emergency Barrier. When Green Lantern or a teammate reaches 20% health, a barrier appears, making that character invulnerable for 4 seconds. This can occur once per character per match. Attack is 750 and health is 950. So the good thing is the requirements are relatively cheap. Easy, available in the store, not too expensive. Really the limiting factor for finishing the challenge is just having characters that are good enough, not the requirements. He was last available July 22nd, 2021. And it's interesting, I don't know if I noticed before whether the previous times he showed up, the challenge was labeled just Green Lantern. Might have to go back and look through the notes, but he's interesting. He's one of the earlier challenge characters, so he's got low stats. The barrier is good, but it's very much like a poor man's Astro Harness. You only get it once instead of 3 times like you would with the Astro Harness, and it only lasts 4 seconds instead of 5 seconds with the Astro Harness. And that may not seem like a lot, but the bigger difference is that in practical terms, Astro Harness can protect through a special 2 and maybe a little bit more, and this passive, that 4 seconds, protects maybe a special 2 most of the time. And sometimes even if the special 2 is long enough, you'll get hit by the tail end of it. The problem is, compared to Astro Harness, only one person gets it, takes a gear slot. This takes an entire character slot on your team. And it's not good enough to justify it, I think, because he doesn't have much more to, John Stewart Green Lantern that is, doesn't have much more to recommend him to us. I think, in my mind, the best use case is probably with Rebirth Jessica Cruz, because her passive means that the Green Lantern, John Stewart Green Lantern, will increase the power of her special 2 in addition to giving her a moment of invulnerability. And because his attack and health are so low, this might be one of those exceptions where it's worth augmenting health and attack. Instead of just for almost every other character, it's really just crit chance and crit damage. So this is third run. We've had 2 complete runs of a 43-week cycle that first showed up May 2020. This is the 3rd cycle and it's the 18th week in it. So that's a total of 104 weeks that have been following this cycle. If the pattern holds, next week's going to be Earth 2 Flash. And as we said before, there's 23 challenge characters still missing in that cycle. So there's 23 characters that haven't shown up since May 2020. So about 2 years. This week's multiplayer reward is Rebirth Wally West, also known as Wally West the Flash. I think that's what he used to be called when he was first released. His passive is Speed Force Merge. Chance to dodge any special attack and then counter attack for large damage. If teamed up with Rebirth characters or with Flash characters, the chance goes up. And Rebirth characters also receive a power generation boost. 1350 attack, 1300 health. He was last available October 14th, 2021. And in this case of the multiplayer rewards, we've had 2 complete cycles of a 31 rewards sequence, and this is the 10th week in the 3rd cycle. So if you want to put it another way, we've had 72 weeks, well over a year in a row of a consistent pattern, and if the pattern holds, next week should be Gauntlets of Azrael. And the difference between the challenge and the multiplayer is that the multiplayer is actually complete. There are no multiplayer rewards that have been missing since these complete cycles have started more than a year ago. So Wally West, he's got really good high stats. He's got fast basic attacks like all the Flashes. And out of all those abilities on his passive, I think the most important is the ability to dodge specials. Even though we generally don't like defensive passives, it is relatively powerful. The sort of unique feature with his dodging specials is he can still dodge even when stunned. So not all the abilities do that. For example, Dawn of Justice Batman does not. That doesn't happen. He's a great potential counter against cards that stun on tag-in, especially if they're geared to increase damage against stunned characters, because you've got that protection against specials. It's not going to connect. And basics are less likely to knock you out in one combo if you happen to get stunned when you tag in. So, the nuke loadouts like Lucha Urbane or the Batgirls, you don't need to worry about being stunned when the other person tags in, because your passive has the potential to engage. It's still really not a perfect counter against Tantu Totem, but none of the special dodgers have been great since Tantu Totem arrived, because with Tantu Totem, your opponent's going to get their power back. But at least with this special dodging, you do a little bit of damage if your passive triggers. And if you're using a full rebirth or a full flash team, like the passive says where the chance goes up, it means that it'll trigger about half the time. And in general, I like to use all flashes as basic damage dealers. And I don't know that Wally West is any different. Good basic damage dealer. He's not as good a special specialist because his special 2 damage is reduced compared to another character with similar attack stat because of the power drain effect. His passive makes him a little tanky, but he still isn't a great tank. So really basic damage dealer. And if you were going to pick whether to have a full rebirth team or full flash team to max out his passive, I think the rebirth team is probably a little bit better. Like we saw recently with the static team, Rebirth Raven is great as not only a secondary specialist, but also for protecting your team against specials by tagging in and draining their power. So if you're going to go full rebirth, whichever other rebirth team member can then be your primary specialist. And I think Jessica Cruz does pretty good at that. In the store, we have a Flash Earth 2 bundle for $24.99 Canadian. It comes with credits. It doesn't unlock them in your store. And it's sort of a confirmatory clue to next week's challenge being Flash Earth 2. And like we say, probably not worth it because you're going to get an opportunity to not only get them free next week, but also be able to unlock them in the store so that you can promote them with credits. The other new pack this week is the Justice League pack. And for $24.99 Canadian, you get Superman, who's normally available in store for power credits. You get Aquaman, who's a challenge character, and Wonder Woman Regime, who's also in the store. So not really worth it. If you look back, I think this pack was 3 times in 2021, and the first time in 2021, like way back in January of last year, it was $26.99, but each time after that, it's been $24.99 Canadian. There's the second week of the character bundle Batman vs. Superman. And for our lingering packs, we've got the Survivor pack for the 19th week now, and the character bundle Batman Universe for the 24th week, so it's almost been 6 months. And hanging around for a 31st week is the Most Wanted pack. 31st, maybe 32nd. And what else we got hanging around? Yeah, we've got the Joker Celebration pack, the Aquaman Celebration pack, and the Shazam Celebration pack that have been here for 17 weeks now, except for the Aquaman pack, which has been 19 weeks. It was there a couple weeks earlier. Our Survivor is Suicide Squad gears, the companion gears, until June the 1st. And Phantom Zone has 1 more week left. Fight 62 is still broken. Last weekend's breakthrough was, as expected, Lex Luthor, Batman, and Doomsday for gold characters. And this coming weekend is probably going to be Bane, Killer Frost, and Ares if we're following the game schedule, and we have for the longest time. If you want to see what the rest of the schedule looks like, there's a link in the description to a Reddit thread from Devlin16 in the Injustice mobile subreddit that goes over the complete breakthrough cycle. And that's it. So in the old days, we used to go through a summary of all the glitches. We're not gonna anymore. We stopped doing that for a little while. And the big part of it is that there haven't been any changes in the glitches that work or the glitches that don't work. So if nothing changes, once a month, we're going to do a recap of that part of it. But the last time we did that was the 5th of May. So we won't go over that in detail, except to say that the current challenge with John Stewart Green Lantern confirmed that the challenge reset is working on his challenge. And that's it. So thank you everybody for watching. And we'd like to give a special thank you and shout out to our patrons on Patreon. And that would be BomboBen, Console Peasant, and Edwoon, supporting us at the top tier last word. Sinemac and Mohammed Albshaiti at Your Message Here tier. Shawn Farrell, Daniel Simonson, Aaron Maule, Michael DeVries, Brandon C., Irvin Ruiz, Eddydoo, and Hoshi 127 at the credited level. And Chris Wolff, Scarlet, Dani, Awesomegamer 241, Pavu RS, Gavin, Mallott, and Isfar E at the gratitude level. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Komoda.